All right. The Pirates have hired the Pirates. Gee, I
Oh,
wonder why I'm
see,
talking about the Pirates.
I thought you said
Hmm.
about Jeff Locke.
You subliminally dropped that in. Okay. The Penguins have hired ex Maple Leafs GM Kyle Dubas as president of hockey operations, the team announced Thursday. I'm thrilled.
I think
What
it's
are,
a
what are
good
your
move.
thoughts?
No, I think it's a good move. I like what he did to a degree. I like what he did in Toronto. I think at the end of the day, you can put a lot of talent together. It's just how they end up. They meshed well. Like the whole year, they did really well. It ends up that I don't know if there's a mental block in Toronto. I don't know if it's the coaching or what, but they just fall apart. And it is what it
Okay.
is.
Okay. I know you're not familiar with football, but basically Toronto Maple Leafs and the Dallas Cowboys are basically the same exact thing.
Oh
I
God.
know, and I know I'm just saying that this is the no. I've said that for a long time.
You
They're
know.
so overhyped, and everybody talks about, oh my goodness, what are they going to do? They're so good, and then they crap out in the playoffs. It's Toronto. Toronto is it's just an overhyped. It's like New York in baseball. It's like everybody
Oh
like
yeah.
they fix it on every little thing, and apparently the media really sucks there, and they're just terrible. But
Well,
it's just
isn't the media the reason Phil Kessel got out of there? They
oh
hounded the
hell
hell out of him
yeah.
until he got out. Um, I mean, to be fair, a lot of Cowboy fans are kind of like, well, we know we're gonna lose. It's on. At least the realistic ones, such as myself. Um, Toronto, I see a lot of them, those fans just don't get it. I think that they just are just swept up in it. And I think I mean, I can understand being, a Penguins fan and you see it. These people were still swept up in the team this year, even though I think me and you were calling it back in January. Like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. They're not meshing. They'll have their points in the beginning. It was wonderful. What, 6 in a row, 6 goal games and everything. And then it's like something switched and it was very, very mediocre. But I think Toronto's starting to wake up, even though you had such a great team. You still couldn't make it past round two, and they should have. They
It's
should have.
not it's not Kyle Dubas's fault that the players sucked in the playoffs.
No,
You get the players, that's all you could do. It's not his fault that Marner and Tavares and Matthews just sucked
mhm.
in the playoffs. Maybe do better, guys.
Yeah, you can. He uses this sort of statistical data to put this team together, and on paper, that's great. I think there a fine line between how much analysis with a computer and data you can do, and how much is because he's relatively young. You
He's
look at
only
some of these.
37.
He's old then. Never mind. Um, if you look at some of the older GMs who still are like boots on the ground looking at them and scouts that are actually looking, I think that you can look at somebody and say, well, look at some of the people that we got. Brassard, look, he looked real good on paper. Derek, who
When
was trash.
when the Penguins got Derek Brassard, everybody already put together the Stanley Cup parade. We
Oh
got
yeah.
this. Oh my God, we got this awesome player. And look what happened. Like everything. And people say, oh, well, what a terrible move by Rutherford. Like at the time, everybody was building a statue of the guy.
And the thing is I have to laugh because at the same time when we got Phil Kessel, I worked at a nursing home, and one of the guys looked at me and said, "He's trash. He's trash." Now, this guy was a Blackhawks fan, first off. So, what take that to however you want to take that. But he's looking at me saying that was the worst. That guy's terrible. He's fat. He's slow. And I want to tell you, so you listen. Somebody who weighed as much as he did, calling this dude fat and slow, and he was like
Well, he was an
50 years
expert.
old. Yeah, he was an expert. So I go, well, hey man, you know what? He looked really good. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm excited. I'm pumped. And then that year they won the cup. He stopped coming around because he used to be like hound me. the Blackhawks were out like round one, and then I never had to see his face, and I was just like, how about them Penguins?
Condition can't take it.
Oh no.
Yeah. The whole analytics thing, that's the debate. It's like, do you because there are people that apparently Dubas is like, he likes analytics, but it's not like the most important thing ever. And then you got these crusty old dudes. It's like, screw math. I'm just, I like the cut of his jib. I like him. So, I mean, there has
and
to
then
be
you get Jeff Carter.
It's right. It's like, well, Jeff Carter was Ron Hextall's drinking buddy. That's why,
Jeff Carter is on the Mount Rushmore of hockey. Remember, like, he's so great.
He's so great. I liked that he was supposed to replace Malkin on the second line as a second line center. That was the original plan.
Who got more penalty minutes though, him or Malkin? I mean,
Malkin. Well, let's talk about Malkin, because okay, so now we figure what is going to happen. What is this guy going to do? And the reason why I love Dubas so much is because he's not like he's an outside hire. They're talking about that Jason Botterill or whatever. It's like, the dude's been here. He knows we need somebody from the outside to say, what the heck's going on here? Like, get rid of everybody, or at least get rid of some people, or change something. That was the biggest frustration from last year and in the past few years, is nothing has changed because everybody's all buddies with each other. It's like a country club.
There is an old boys system, and I don't want to get wrapped up in Dubas because I want to see what he does. I'm giving him a fair shake, but he is the biggest name of this off season, coaching, management wise. And I think they pulled them in hoping, one, he fixes stuff. That would be wonderful. But two, you got someone like that that's going to keep the Penguins' name in everyone's mouths. Because after that season, you could see you didn't have sellouts. You didn't have a full sellout year. And that hasn't happened since 2004, 2003. Yeah. And I feel like this is a way to not only sort of try to, I don't want to say rebuild, I want to say fix, because we're not at that point yet. Try to do that and keep sort of attention on the Penguins and sort of keep hope alive. Because look at that team. Look at that defense. And you know what? I hope there's going to be hopefully some rough cuttings, rough trades that will get rid of players that people like. I think it should have been done last year, but you got to keep people together, to make everyone happy.
Here's the thing. It's just funny. And I don't know if you're thinking the same person I'm thinking of, but I'm thinking of Jake Gensel. Maybe he's going to be gone.
I hope not.
I hope not either, but
I mean, I feel like he was kicking so much ass. Like, he was racking up the points. He was doing really well. I think if anything, I mean, unfortunately, we've signed people who we're going to be stuck with.
Well, yeah, there are so many players with no trade clauses in this crap. So he's kind of limited in what he could do.
And shitty players with shitty contracts that no one's going to pick up at this point. You might have to buy people out.
Even those options are limited, but
yeah.
I actually put them into groups. Okay. So the first group is the big three. Nothing's going to happen with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang.
Yeah. That should have happened.
Didn't.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
And I don't, and they played all right, and they still could play all right, but it's just my problem is with that mentality, especially with Malkin and Letang. It's like, oh, we have a turnover. Who cares? Because I might get a goal. Oh, who cares if I, cause 3 penalties and we're on the penalty kill all the time. But hey, it's Gino. Yay. Like, it's that mentality I hate.
The problem, Gino takes some stupid penalties. They're good penalties to take. But there are a lot of dumb ones, and he can't keep his anger under control. And listen, trust me, I as somebody who has very red hair, understand the problem. He is bad. That's bad. I feel like, and I like Letang. I don't hate Letang. Letang is also one bad hit, a boarding, a stroke away from having to be done, which is terrible. He's like 36, and that's horrific, but it's also a gamble. And you can see he's getting a little slower. But I have to say this, every time I put it to the universe and I get mad at him, he'll score a goal or he'll make a great play. So I just always stay angry at him. So hopefully he just turns it
There you
around.
go. Yeah, I mean, the health issue is, I mean, well, I was gonna say he can't possibly have a worse year than last year when he had a stroke and a family tragedy, but you never know, it could get worse. But my problem with Letang is he is a defenseman that sometimes decides not to play defense, and it's like, oh, I'll pinch in at the worst possible time. And like when he was young and it caused a 2-1 or a 3-1 or something like that, he's fast enough to come back. And I don't know if he's fast enough to come back anymore. So I just wish he would make smarter decisions.
Especially at this age and this many years in the game, there are times you jump up and become offense, and there's time to stick back. And he should know at this point in time.
Yeah. Okay. So the second group I have is these are players that either have a no move clause or a no trade clause, whatever the heck that means. This is Jake Gensel, Brian Rust, Raquel, Jeff Carter, and Petrie. You can't trade them even if you wanted to, or if you did, I think they have like a list of teams that they would want to go to or something.
I think what happens is like they give you a list that you ask them, they'll give you a list of teams that they would work with or consider, and then you have to go try to make a deal through that.
And honestly, I wonder how much of that is like, hey, if we give you like a lot of Giant Eagle gift cards or something like that, you want to waive your no trade clause or something?
Listen, a Manny Brothers sandwich, a Giant Eagle gift card. Will you go to the Coyotes?
Yes. Yeah.
Out of that, honestly, I think Rust has still been doing good, still pretty consistent, and I think Getzel has been good. As old as who? Gino? As old as
true.
Chris Letang? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I see more kind of heart out of them than I do with the ones who, we know they're not leaving. I do love Getzel. I'd hate to see him go. I think he has learned a lot under Crosby. I think he does very well. And I would love to see how at least he starts this next year. He did really good in the beginning of the year, as everybody in that team did. But Carter, oh God, and Petrie, I would probably
Carter, not only can you not trade him, he has this I don't know how the buyout thing works, but if you're over 35, they're not even allowed to buy you out. So they are absolutely stuck with Carter. So he's going to be the fourth line center. And okay, so what? Okay, fine. You have a very expensive fourth line center. Oh well.
Can you force retirement? Like, I'm not saying Tanya Harding type issues, but like if somebody took him out,
I've actually heard that they should come up with a fake injury for him or something like that. That's like the best case scenario, because then the team would save money and all that stuff. He gets yeast infection or I don't know. I don't know what other problems there are out there, but that's
listen, but if Chris Letang can play through strokes, like this dude can't. I honestly don't absolutely hate Carter. I will state this. I think he's way overpaid. I think he fourth line, expensive fourth line. But maybe if you get somebody good on his side, he did really well in the beginning. Hey, but they all did. Right. I do hate the contract. I do not really like him, but I would deal with him, seeing as though we can't ever get rid of him.
Yeah. So another group is restricted free agents, and that's Ryan Poehling and Drew O'Connor. And I think they should bring them back if they're cheap. They're actually a rare thing on the team, young players.
Yeah. And O'Connor was I liked him. I liked what he's done and what he's shown so far, and down in the minors.
Okay, so here's the another group. These are unrestricted free agents. Jason Zucker, he's making 5.5 million. Heinen is making $1 million. Archibald is making 900,000. Brian Dumoulin 4.1 million. Dmitry Kulikov 1.1 million. Tristan Jarry 3.5 million, and Nick Bonino 1 million. All right. So let's go one by one. You think Jason's should they bring back Jason Zucker, or should they or just let him go?
I honestly, if they can listen, if anybody can do some magical waving of the hands to get around cap space, it's Dubas. He knows how to work that cap. And even if somebody like Jeff Carter has to be injured for the whole year, I would keep Zucker. He was making such a case for himself too this year. I think he played with heart and soul.
He was one of the few players that played with heart and soul, and he was awesome.
He showed up.
And he had an awesome year, but they've had him for like 3 or 4 years. And the only year that he showed up healthy was this past year. Every other year, he was basically hurt the whole time.
Didn't he get hurt this year too, though, for like 3 weeks?
A little bit.
I don't know how much more he was. How much was he? 5?
He's making 5.5 million, and like he had a really good year, so he's probably going to make at least that.
Oh, absolutely. And he's not gonna, but I don't know how much more you can finagle with him. Honestly, I think he did for what he did. He's worth the 5.5, maybe 6, but we're taking, and that's 1 year. I wouldn't go farther than 1 year.
Oh no. If you're signing him, you got to sign him to like 4, 5, 6 years, some crazy thing like that. So we'll see. That's a decision Dubas has. Heinen can go to hell. I don't know, who cares.
Yeah.
Archibald, go get out of here. Brian Dumoulin, you can't bring him back. He's pass. Okay. And that saves 4.1 million.
Yeah.
So good.
So we can give Jarry some more money.
Well, there you go. Okay, so Kulikov, 1.1 million. Screw him. Jarry, that's the big question. What do you do with goaltender? Do you keep Jarry? Do you get rid of him? I know you love him. Why do you love him?
You know, I honestly saw so much potential in him when he was in Wilkes-Barre. I saw potential when he was even up there. And like I say, I keep referencing the beginning of the season, but you saw him almost have a shutout thanks to P.O. Joseph. It was ruined in the last few minutes of the game in October against the Kings. He looked good. I still feel like something happened. I don't know if it was mental. I don't know if it was physical. He was playing an awesome game, and then something snapped. Now, DeSmith did back up. DeSmith did play some good hockey, but honestly, 5, 6 good games versus however many he's played in the past that were absolute garbage, I would get rid of DeSmith if possible. I would bring in somebody. If Jarry has to be a backup, that's an expensive backup, I could still handle it because I still think that he could come in and do well. I would actually keep him as the starter if you can see how he does in the first. Let's look at him. He comes back, training camp and stuff. He looks good. He plays exhibitions. He looks good. I have no problem riding that horse. No problem with him. I think, though, it wouldn't hurt to get maybe a cheap veteran backup that could still step in. Maybe somebody who could still handle, let's say, at best, half of the workload on a worst case scenario. I don't.
Something happened. You're right. Something happened with Jarry, and there was some injury. I think it happened at the well, he was basically hurt all year. So basically it started, but then at the Winter Classic against Boston, something happened. Some lower body thing happened, and he was basically crap the rest of the year, and he tried to play through it. Okay, fine. But if you want to bring him back, fine. But I agree, not DeSmith. And
Not
DeSmith
just
isn't
Smith,
okay. DeSmith is an okay backup if you have like if you play him
a
like 20
flurry.
games a year or something like that. Like once a week, once a month,
Mhm.
once a week. He's
Whenever
your
you have back-to-back games,
right. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know,
But yeah, I don't know if you could trust Jari to stay healthy. That's a thing. So yeah, bring in another backup. And the thing is, apparently um about Dubas and anybody that likes analytics is they don't give a crap about the goaltender. The goaltender is not that important. They would rather have just some cheap dude in there. Okay, fine.
yeah.
Bring some cheap dude in there, but not the Smith. Yeah, I would get rid of the Smith and keep Jar. You could probably get cheap because he had such a
Uh,
lousy year. Bring in another solid veteran backup and even if they play 50-50 or something like that, I'm fine with that.
the thing is I would feel comfortable with the Smith being there if he was a consistent backup. I understand we all lose games. That's fine. But he would be, what was that, 5 games in a row? He was rocking it. And then all of a sudden it was boom, 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 just downhill. The fact that I just had this bad feeling that Jari did play hurt. And that was a
Totally.
terrible move on him, on Sully, on anybody who allowed that to happen. But you know what it was? He was a last ditch effort because they knew they couldn't count on DeSmith. There is no way that DeSmith was going
Yeah,
to carry you anywhere.
yeah,
And
I
the
agree.
best case is your best goalie at maybe 50% good. Maybe we can sneak in. There should have been a dealing. We should have got a new goalie at the deadline,
Thank
and
you.
nothing
Thank you.
happened.
Thank you. Yeah.
But like, let's
Yeah.
hope that Dubas doesn't bring Matt Murray back.
Maybe that would be a good idea. I don't think Matt Murray would want to come back here.
No, that Pittsburgh is not a good place for mental health.
I have a Matt Murray bobblehead somewhere.
Well, we could
Yeah,
get Hedberg back. Maybe he's not doing it.
Hedberg, I'm sure he's available.
He's
Yeah.
coaching, I think, somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, bring back Tom Barrasso. He's a coach somewhere or something like that. So okay, so yeah, that's a big question. Okay, then there are the players that do not have no trade clauses that you could possibly trade.
Okay.
Granlund's making $5 million.
God, can we buy him out?
Okay, that's a good
Because
question.
that's the big thing. I wanted to be excited for that. And I feel it felt flat. I would give him a little more time. I would start the season with him, see how it shakes out. 5 million. He ain't worth 2 in my eyes. Not after what I saw.
Yeah.
Not that I'm an expert, but I just.
No, I mean he's exactly what they don't need. They need either youth or speed or size or toughness, and he was none of those things.
I don't think you can go size at a cost of speed in this game, or even toughness. I think is although I liked older hockey, it's being phased out. You have to be fast. I don't care if you're 36 if you can make it down there like Sergei Fedorov could. It's just everybody's fast. Look how fast they ran. Anybody who was a fast team ran over this one. Just
That's
with
the
quickness
thing.
alone.
That's the thing that they still think it's 2016 and that they're faster than everybody else. And that's not the case. You have to actually have to be faster. And they should know that. When they played New Jersey, it was embarrassing because New Jersey skated circles around them. It was pathetic. When they played Carolina or anything. The only teams the Penguins played well against last year were the big slow teams like St. Louis, and they played okay against Boston, and these big tough slow
LA.
teams.
Yeah,
LA, yeah. But any fast team, they just got destroyed, and they need to fix that.
Look at your defense. Look at that defense. How old is the average defenseman on this team? 30s. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
I'm pulling it out of my butt. I'm not going to lie. I just look at whoever I can think of and I go, man, I feel like they've been around forever. And I don't think
okay. So
B.O. Joseph is young, but I'm not too impressed sometimes with him.
your defensemen basically last year were Letang and Dumoulin, and they're both old.
Yeah, Dumo's terrible.
Petrie's old. Either Kulikov or Ruta, or they were old, and then you had Pedersen and P.O. Joseph who were pretty young.
And I feel like I've seen Joseph make some terrible mistakes, but as he's young, I'll be like, okay, let's give him a little bit more time. I really liked what he did in the minors, and I hope that he would pull out, because honestly, he does have some speed, and he does have, thankfully, some youth on his side. But man, let Dumo go. The problem is who did you mention? It has Petrie, who has like a no trade, no movement, I'm stuck here, too bad clause.
I wonder if here's an option. You trade Petrie to some team just as a salary dump, and they'll say, "What the heck do we want this schmuck?" And it's like, how about we throw in a draft? How about we throw in a first round draft pick or something like that? Which Dubas has done in the past. He has done in Toronto.
I know. And here's everybody, calm down with these draft picks. Stop stealing them there, JR. You're looking at someone who would take that on is somebody who needs to hit cap bottom. And who is that? That's like a Arizona, and to Detroit, I think, was pretty low on their cap. They have good cap space. Maybe the Blackhawks. It's people who, but is he going to go there?
Right.
Doesn't he have a no trade or something?
Like there are teams that need to they need to hit the salary floor or whatever. So yeah.
And that's the only way to get rid of him, and he has to agree to it. So
but yeah.
That's you're not gonna, and it's all lower teams. He's not gonna want to go there unless it's like, hey, you want to go to Arizona because it's really nice there. They got heat.
Hey, want to go see the Grand Canyon? Like, yeah. What are you doing? Grand Canyon's beautiful.
I've never been there. I was just saying, yeah, that's in Arizona. I did on that trip. I did not go.
Yeah, you should have gone. You should have gone to Grand Canyon.
Oh, I should have gone to Vegas too, but here we are.
They're very close to each other. It's a fun, yeah. It's not that far away. Okay, so Granlund. Okay, Marcus Pedersen is making $4 million, and he is one of the few young players on the team. But you could get something for him in a trade.
How old is he?
He is, I think.
If you don't have it, I'm
26 or something like that. But would you?
$4 million now?
Yeah,
he's good. He's decent,
27.
but 27. He's gonna want more money.
Well, they got him under contract for a while.
Okay.
They have they have him. Okay, they have him under contract for this year and next year. He's a free agent in 2025. So,
we got him under. He's already a hit.
Okay.
If we could get somebody good, yeah, let's get.
Here's the thing. Okay, if they lose Zucker, Heinen, Archibald, Dumoulin, Kulikov, Jari, and Bonino, they save like $17 million. Let's say they bring back Jari at like, I don't know, $3 million or something like that.
Isn't he at 3 now?
He's at 3.5 now.
So let's say get him for 3.5.
They could probably get him for 3 or 3, or I wouldn't. He definitely doesn't deserve a raise. That's for darn sure.
I mean,
okay. So assuming that he's gone or he stays. You basically have around 15 million in cap space. And here's who you would need. You would need someone to replace Zucker on that second line. You're good with Crosby, Gensel, and Rust on that first line. You're good with Malkin and Raquel on that second line. You would need a left wing to replace Zucker. So you need a left wing. You bring back Paling and you bring back Nylander, and Carter, and those are 3 of your bottom 6. So you need 3 of your bottom. You need 3 bottom 6 guys. Oh, O'Connor's back. So you need 2 bottom 6 guys, assuming you get rid of Granlund and Heinen. You gotta find a defense. Well, I think they have plenty of defensemen. You gotta replace Dumoulin and Kulikov. So you can, and you still have that Ty Smith down in the minors. who needs to come
Oh,
up.
yes. Yes, I
So
like him.
it's really not that bad. It's really, they don't have much to replace, and they
No.
have some cap space. So like it's not as bleak as people think.
No, but if you look at the minors and you got to go to one of those games, they're looking pretty terrible too. They're pretty,
That's
it's that
okay.
Smith though, Smith is good. You look at Wilkes-Barre, man. I was watching them it's just sad. They would be winning. Hey, it'd be like the Penguins. They'd be winning like 4-0, and all of a sudden it goes to overtime and they lose in overtime 5-4. Like
Okay.
it's
This
you know,
crap about, well, we got to keep all these draft picks because they're gonna. What are these draft picks doing? What have these first round draft picks? What have they done lately? They got Poulin and some other schmuck that hasn't done anything. And there's I'm tired of these draft picks. Trade the draft picks for something. I don't want draft picks.
I
These
feel
are
like the
18-year-old kids.
I feel like a big thing is, you got well, look at our last GM. Although I can't pin everything on him. Draft pick wise, I don't see anybody. I haven't heard anything like coming up in the next few years. This year, you had some good people we weren't ever going to get, but it's not like you're like, hey man, in 3 years, look at this standout defenseman. That's going to happen. I just don't want to keep getting rid of first round picks, second, third. Hey, yeah, we can get rid of them. Or maybe if you're going to bring in someone real good, throw them a first round. But like, we got to draft better than we have been though as well.
Yeah,
you look at Getzelman. He was a draft pick.
he was.
Who's still here.
And that's another problem, and that's a big problem I have is apparently Dubas in that press conference said something like, Sullivan has a job forever or something like that. Like, really? Because I think Sullivan is part of the problem too. He refused to play anybody young. It was all the old boys network, all the country club, everybody. No. Because there were a few chances to play young players last season, and he refused to do it. I'm tired of him.
He has favorites, for better or for worse. He has favorites, and there were times he played people like that I felt like he shouldn't, and he kept giving them chances. My issue with him is you have seen over and over that what you did on the ice wasn't working. Why are you still doing it? You're not changing your game. You don't go out there and have Jersey skating circles around you and go, well, we just keep up what we're doing. We'll be fine.
Right.
You can't do that. Hey, why don't you switch up a line or something? Even if they win, you know how to maybe face them the next time or see what worked and what doesn't in the whole grand scheme of things. He doesn't change how they play. And I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's up above telling him you have to make sure you play this, that, or the other.
Right. I don't know.
I would have fired him 2 years ago.
I think he's a good coach, but but he's way overstayed his welcome, and who knows?
The thing is he is a good coach, and he used to be able to fire them up. You've seen him scream at them, and then all of a sudden they suddenly picked up their play. But somehow he became like a Tomlin, and everybody doesn't care anymore. They're not out there playing with any sort of fire under their ass. I would have gotten rid of him. You know what? Let's fire him in about November, December, and then we can win the cup next year, because that's what Pittsburgh tends to do.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, Dubas, just tell him he still has a job. We'll fire him come January, and we'll take that last swing up and take it through.
Oh, hey, can you train this guy? I mean, he's not totally going to take your job. Can you just show him around? And
absolutely, he's going to be okay. Yeah. It's just assistant coach type of thing.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a crazy off season. I think it's going to be, and he only has like the draft is coming up soon, so he got a lot of he had a lot of moves to make soon. I did like that the first question was like, so you hiring a GM? He's like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm good. I'll do it myself.
To
Because
give
I
him
mean,
more money to do it.
that was the big thing. Well, one of the big things in Toronto was like if he needed to make a decision or something like that, he had to run it by his boss, and then there's like a board of directors and blah blah blah. It's like he didn't have a lot of power, and I think that's what he really wanted was power. So now he's like, I'll do everything. I'll
I
clean the
mean,
toilets. I don't care.
look what you gave free reign to in the past and what has happened. JR just throwing draft picks away. You've got, and dumb moves there. Hextall, which I still don't blame everything on him, but Hextall made dumb contract signings that are screwing us to this day. You got to rein the GM in a little bit, but I'm not saying you take away all his power. You gave him the power and you trusted him to find you players to make these deals. Then you have to put your trust behind them.
I thought it was interesting. There was an article in the Athletic that basically said this Fenway Sports Group, they bought this team, but they didn't know a damn thing about hockey. So they're like, okay, well, I guess we got to keep these people. I mean, we don't know anything about this. Now that they've seen it for a year, it's like, okay, get this idiot out here. And they got their guy. They got the guy they wanted. So that's what's exciting. When you get your number one target, because that's apparently that's what Fenway Sports Group is known for, is like getting really good management. So okay, you got your guy, and now we'll see.
Yeah, it'll all shake out. I don't know. I'm interested to see the stuff that you saw come out of the whole Hextall era. I will call it the 2 years. Is just mind blowing. It almost makes me think that he didn't have control very much, because as a former player, you would never trade somebody during a father's trip. You would know better. That stuff.
Okay, wait. That was on the players. Here's an idea. Don't schedule the father's trip during the trade deadline.
Yes, schedule it after, but even then they say it's an unwritten rule, and I can't imagine a former player who played as long as he did wouldn't know that there is a father's trip right now, and couldn't say, hey, could you wait 2 more games or 2 days? Once this is over, we'll just go ahead and finalize this deal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so his plan was screw Malkin, screw Letang, they're gone. Not even going to try to bring him back. And he was told by someone, ownership, whoever, you got to keep him. And I think when that happened, he basically rage quit and said, oh, so I'm not allowed to do what I want? Okay, screw you. I don't give a crap what happens to you people now. Now, that whole thing about the data strip, I'm sure that was not the plan, but he needed to he was so bad with the salary cap, and they were so up against it that they needed, like, they gave away Kapanen for nothing, and they still needed space. So like I don't think that was the plan to like say, oh, here's your stake, and by the way, you just got traded. I mean, that was,
I'll find out about it on social media. But I don't know if maybe there was stuff going on behind it, and his was his way of, you know what, I want to get fired, go out with a blaze of glory. So trust me, because I know how that is, and I've done it myself. Not too long ago. If they need a GM, they can call me. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was his inexperience. Maybe it was, everybody's conspiracy theory that it was the Flyers trying to get it back in the
he's a
Penguins.
Flyers secret agent. I love that. I've said that many times, by the way.
At the end of the day, there's so many hiccups along the line that there was no way that they could win. They weren't getting very far. And it's sad because there was a little bit of glimmer of hope here and there. You got to go in here. And honestly, if he wouldn't have signed Malkin and Letang, I'll tell you right now, I probably would have still slept okay at night. I could have been fine with it if he would have brought in the right people, or if he would have kept one of them and not both. If whatever it was, I would have been okay with that. Because here's the thing. I'm still riding anger from Yager being gone. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that
if
worked
you're going
out.
to get rid
Yeah.
of my favorite, go ahead and get rid of everyone else's. Um, I there is, you can't rely on nostalgia. You cannot hold on because, oh my God, I love this player. Fleury's gone.
Yeah.
You know, people didn't like that. That's fine. But this is a business at the end of the day. This is, and it sucks because you learn to love these people, these players, and you hold on with them and you love them with your entire being. But this, at the end of the day, I want Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh. I don't care if it has Letang's name on it or not. I don't. Or Malcolm's.
Final question. A year from now, have they, the next season, do they make the playoffs? Do they miss the playoffs? Do they actually do something in the playoffs? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Man, we should probably revisit this in like a couple months.
Yeah, when we actually see what he's done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Call me back at, like, we'll come back in October before the start. Honestly, I feel like we could make the playoffs. I feel like if something happens, they do a little, all they have to do is do a crazy shake up, one little weird thing that kind of just shakes them up. Everyone will start playing better. They'll be scared. I think that they could play. I think Jari comes back healthy. I think we would actually be fine, even with the Smith as a backup, if they change the way they play in the ice as well. But I feel like even if we make the playoffs, I don't think we're going as deep as the Stanley Cup. But right now, I feel like round 1, maybe round 2. But call me in October, and I'll tell you.
I think what happened this past season was rock bottom. I think this is the worst that they'll do, and I think at the very minimum they'll make the playoffs, and maybe, hey, oh my goodness, maybe they'll actually win a series, but that's about it.
I don't think this is rock bottom. I don't.
Ooh.
This is
oh, no.
So I think this is a last ditch effort to hitting rock bottom, but you have to look at the writing on the wall. Crosby is 36, going to be 37. Malkin's 37. Letang is 36, 37. We got him for a few more years. Yeah, that's perfect. You got to understand that when they're gone, you're looking at, there's nobody. You might want to call Yager to play. You might want to call Lemieux back because that's the only way you're going to get butts in the seats.
Oh, I don't care about what happens post Crosby and all that stuff. I don't. That is going to be a disaster. It's going to be X generation like it was in 2001. It is going to be horrific, and that's okay. I'm old.
You're not worried about that right now.
Yeah, I don't care.
You have Crosby for what? How many more years? 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. 3 more years.
Technically 2, but he's going to come back.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Now's the time to start getting young guys under him again, like the Getzels, the stuff like that, where he gets to train them. That's your best bet.
Yeah.
To have any sort of fight long term.
Bring back Sid and the kids.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. This was awesome. You were awesome.
Aw. And it wasn't the Robo Penguins' fault. Can I just state that once again?
The Robo Penguin had nothing to do with this season. Or the 90s. Stop.
No, that was.
Don't hate on the Robo Penguin.
Exactly.
That is the main thing to learn from this podcast. Do not hate on Robo Penguin. Robo Penguin is awesome.
We should get Robo Penguin tattoos.
Ooh, I don't have any tattoos, but I should. I might get one. I might. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Back in the 90s, we also called this constipated pigeon. I can see that. I could see a constipated.
I have no idea why everyone blames it on that. Then,
hey, Robo Penguin was awesome, and I don't care.
Listen, we can't all be Wilkes-Barre's Tux.
I love the steroid penguin. It sends a message. It sends a message that we're willing to do what it takes. Inject drugs into our body to get abnormally large. We're gonna Barry Bonds this thing.
Oh dear, Barry Bonds. Okay.
All right. Hey, I'll see you.
See you. Thanks.